from the contribution previously and leaders' questions by my own leader, I'd like to ask the Minister for Agriculture in particular, Minister, for clarity in relation to the plans that you have in place, if any, in relation to actually properly supporting the agriculture sector in the event of a hard Brexit. We've seen yesterday the British government put out there the types of tariffs that they will put in place in the event of a hard Brexit. And it's time, Minister, with 2 weeks to go to Brexit, that we have clarity from you now in relation to the supports that will be available to the Irish agriculture sector. They are under massive pressure, as you know. At the moment, the sector is already in crisis, Minister, and it's simply unacceptable that they are totally in the dark as to what the response and the support will be from the Irish Government and from the European Commission in 2 weeks' time, were the worst to come to pass in relation to a hard Brexit.
Martin Kenny on the same matter.
We have a situation where the British Government have announced tariffs this morning in regard to agricultural produce and a whole range of issues. While most of us recognise that a lot of this is play acting, that they're not really serious about this, it's regarded as a temporary tariff situation. However, if we have a crash out at some point, which could be likely, if not within the next 2 weeks, possibly in 3 or 4 months' time, it's possible that could happen. We will be in a situation where we will have to deal with this tariff situation. Minister, really the only option I can see that can work is that we would have to have some kind of a means where the European Union would come in with a fund which would assist to pay those tariffs. Because Irish beef particularly, where we send so much of it to the UK, it simply can't be put into intervention, it simply can't be stored. There's no option for this other than to provide it to the market that wants it and to try and cover the tariffs until alternative markets can be found. So I want to find out, Minister, are you looking at that option?
Thank you.
I'd like to thank the deputies for their questions that they've raised. As they will be aware, my department has some time ago quantified that if the UK had decided to apply the full WTO tariff, the additional cost to our exports into the UK would have been in the region of €1.7 billion. What we've had published this morning is a unique and bespoke approach to tariffs that the UK has proposed, and as they're quite entitled to in the context of their trade with the European Union. And we're obviously in a detailed analysis of that now. For example, in the context of some commodities, it's the equivalent of the full WTO tariff. In others, it's half and less. So it's very much a selection of options that the UK has approached. We have been, as the deputies are aware, engaged with the Commission. In fact, even as of today, there's a senior team from my department in negotiations with the Commission around all of these issues and the interventions that may be necessary. But we can only respond when we have an action that has been implemented to respond to. What we have is a proposal in the event of a no-deal Brexit. But as you're also aware, there is a vote this evening in the House of Commons that would take a no-deal Brexit off the agenda. But I just want to assure the deputies and the industry, farmers and the agri-food industry generally, that in the context of the supports that may be necessary, depending on a no-deal Brexit, both at a Commission level and an Exchequer level, there is commitments to intervene at the appropriate level.
Thank you, Minister.